Imagine a treasure, so vast and majestic, it graced the heads of history's most powerful queens, yet so unsettling, it was outright rejected by Queen Elizabeth II herself. That's right, you heard correctly. Throughout her entire 70-year reign, Queen Elizabeth II never once donned the largest tiara in her royal collection. Why? What secret did it hold? What did she fear? And most importantly, why did she pass this problematic jewel to the very woman many had so long resisted, Camilla? Her sole public appearance wearing this tiara has been dubbed the loudest political statement in modern monarchical history. It wasn't merely a social engagement, it was a secret signal, a strategic move in the game for the throne, a message destined to change absolutely everything. Today, we're going to unearth the greatest jewelry secret of Buckingham Palace. We'll reveal what the official chronicles never tell you. Was it personal animosity? A political conspiracy? Or does this tiara carry a dark legacy from the past that still haunts the Windsors? Brace yourselves. You're about to uncover a shocking truth hidden for decades. Watch this video to the very end, and you'll understand how one single piece of jewelry decided the fate of the British crown. Among the treasures of the British crown lies an artifact whose grandeur is nearly as immense as its mystery. It is the Delhi Durbar tiara, a dazzling, icy edifice of platinum and diamonds, so grand and monumental it appears fashioned not for a woman, but to embody an entire empire. It was worn by powerful queens, Mary of Teck, for whom it was created, and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Yet the longest reigning monarch in history, Queen Elizabeth II, never once appeared in public wearing it throughout her 70 years on the throne. Only once, in 2005, did this relic emerge from the shadows of the royal vault to adorn the head of the then Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla. This singular public appearance caused a sensation and was perceived as a landmark gesture, a silent blessing from the reigning queen. But it also ignited a fresh wave of questions, reigniting conversations about the tiara with renewed fervor. But what if, beneath the sparkle of its diamonds, lies a story far more dramatic than we've ever imagined? Why was a jewel, conceived as a symbol of absolute power and triumph, virtually cast aside by a monarch who valued succession and tradition above all else? Was it its colossal weight, its architectural audacity deemed out of place in the modern world? Or did the tiara bear another, more symbolic burden, the phantom of a bygone empire, a memory Queen Elizabeth II preferred not to awaken? Let's transport ourselves back to 1911. This was an era of vast empires, resplendent uniforms, and an unshakable belief in progress. The British Empire stood at the zenith of its power, with India remaining its most prized possession, the jewel in the crown. It was here, in Delhi, that an event unprecedented in history was set to unfold, the Delhi Durbar. More than just a mere celebration, it was a colossal political and theatrical spectacle designed to display the unassailable might of British rule, embodied by a new emperor to the world and millions of subjects. For the first time in history, the reigning monarch, King George V, and his consort Queen Mary, were to personally attend the ceremony and be crowned Emperor and Empress of India. Previously, this role had always been fulfilled by the Viceroy. Such an unprecedented visit demanded an equally grand display. However, an insurmountable obstacle, both legal and mystical, arose. According to an ancient statute, the British crown jewels, including St. Edward's crown and the imperial state crown, were forbidden from leaving the United Kingdom. Queen Mary took the initiative. She was not a woman to let mere protocol overshadow the crowning event of her husband's reign. If the old crowns couldn't be brought to India, then new ones must be created. This decision was not only practical, but profoundly symbolic. Mary understood that jewelry wasn't just an accessory. It was a language of power, universally understood without need for translation. To fulfill this monumental commission, the chosen jeweler was Garrard, a name already synonymous with royal luxury. As official crown jewelers since 1843, the artisans at Garrard understood the monarchy's demands like no other. They mastered the art of blending imperial grandeur, fidelity to tradition, and impeccable technical execution in their creations. They faced a task of exceptional complexity, to craft not merely a tiara for the Queen, but something far more significant. The concept was audacious. It called for a piece of jewelry that would visually serve the function of a crown, yet formally was not one. Thus was born the idea of a fully enclosed circlet tiara, intended to be a worthy counterpart to the new imperial crown of India, being fashioned for George V. Notably, Queen Mary personally funded the tiara's creation, thereby making it her inalienable property rather than part of the state regalia. This was her personal contribution to the crown's majesty, her own declaration of power and status. Let's momentarily set aside its history and its wearers, and examine the Delhi Durbar tiara through the eyes of a jeweler, with meticulous attention and profound admiration. This is not merely a piece of jewelry, it is a genuine architectural marvel in miniature, a triumph of early 20th century engineering and artistic vision. Its framework, crafted from platinum and gold, was a necessity, as only these noble and strong metals could bear the weight and complexity of its design. Garrard fashioned not a tiara, but a solid enclosed circlet nearly 9 centimeters tall, a veritable wall of light designed to surround the monarch's head with a dazzling halo. At the heart of its design lies a motif characteristic of the Belle Époque style. Elegant, flowing S-shaped scrolls that intertwine like frozen waves. Overlaid upon these, jewelers draped garlands or festoons of diamonds cascading like shimmering threads of frozen rain. This rhythmic, almost musical pattern has no discernible beginning or end, creating a sense of infinite, unbroken splendor. Every element was meticulously calculated to capture and reflect light to its fullest potential, transforming the wearer into a living fount of radiance. But crafting something this grand often demands a sacrifice. Queen Mary, renowned for her pragmatism, decided to dismantle another of her tiaras for this project, the Boucheron Loop tiara. The diamonds from the older piece found new life within Garrard's majestic circlet. This wasn't an act of vandalism, but rather a characteristic approach for royalty. Precious stones were seen as a reusable asset to be utilized and repurposed for creating more contemporary and striking works. In its original form, the Delhi Durbar tiara was even more astonishing. It was crowned by 10 large pear-shaped emeralds from the famous Cambridge collection, stones with their own rich history. Imagine the sight. The cold, white fire of diamonds pierced by flashes of deep, velvety green. However, in 1922, Queen Mary, once again following her practical logic, ordered the emeralds to be removed and used to adorn another legendary relic, the Grand Duchess Vladimir tiara. Stripped of its emeralds, the tiara did not lose its majesty. On the contrary, it transformed into the perfect setting for other, even more significant treasures. Queen Mary began wearing it with 2 of the most famous diamonds from her personal collection, the Cullinan III and the Cullinan IV. These giants, affectionately known within the family as the Granny's Chips, were part of the legendary Cullinan diamond. The pear-shaped Cullinan III, weighing 94.4 carats, and the square-cut Cullinan IV, weighing 63.6 carats, were mounted at the center of the tiara, transforming it into something otherworldly, a treasure fit for a goddess. Pause for a moment and imagine the sheer weight of this relic. It was no delicate adornment, but a true crown, its heft a physical reminder of the burden of power. Feel the cold platinum against your skin. Hear the faint chime of thousands of diamond facets brushing against each other with the slightest movement. This wasn't a piece designed for comfort. It was crafted to make an immediate statement, to dominate any room, and to inspire profound awe. December the 12th, 1911. Delhi. The scorching air above the specially built Coronation Park shimmered with the murmur of hundreds of thousands of voices and the buzz of anticipation. The entire world watched, holding its breath, as this unprecedented spectacle unfolded. An ocean of colorful saris and turbans, ceremonial uniforms and fans stretched out before the colossal pavilion where two thrones stood upon a raised dais. This was the culmination of the Delhi Durbar, the day when the king and queen would for the first time be proclaimed emperor and empress on Indian soil. And then, to the strains of the imperial anthem and the thunder of a gun salute, George V and Mary of Teck appeared. Their entrance was a meticulously choreographed display of power. The king was clad in an ermine robe, upon his head the new specially created imperial crown of India, glittering with thousands of diamonds, emeralds, and rubies. But many eyes were fixed on his consort, Queen Mary. As she slowly and majestically ascended to her throne, the sun's rays struck her circlet, and a gasp of astonishment rippled through the crowd. The world witnessed the Delhi Durbar tiara in all its glory for the very first time. On that day, it was in its pristine, most powerful iteration, crowned with 10 large Cambridge emeralds. Against the backdrop of her white gown and under the scorching Indian sun, the diamond circlet, with its green flashes, appeared otherworldly, as if forged from ice and flame. This was no mere tiara. This was a crown in all but name, the perfect answer to a legal prohibition. The effect was precisely what the Queen had intended. The Indian Maharajas present at the ceremony, whose own treasuries overflowed with legendary stones, were awestruck. In this silent duel of splendor, Queen Mary's tiara was the undisputed victor. It spoke not of wealth, but of a different, higher order of power. Its scale, the purity of its design, and its cold, almost austere brilliance proclaimed the supremacy of the British Empire louder than any declaration. On that day, at the moment of its debut, the tiara ceased to be merely a piece of jewelry. It became a political instrument, the material embodiment of empire, a symbol intelligible to everyone. It didn't merely adorn the Queen, it crowned her in the eyes of millions of subjects. The reaction was deafening, admiration mixed with reverence and a complete understanding that they were witnessing a historical moment. The Delhi Durbar tiara's first triumph was absolute. It was born a legend. After its triumphant debut in Delhi, the tiara returned to London, but its story was only just beginning. Its golden age dawned, inextricably linked with the name of its creator and primary owner, Queen Mary. If this jewel possessed a soul, it was a reflection of the unwavering will and impeccable taste of this remarkable woman. Mary of Teck was not merely a queen, but a true connoisseur, historian, and collector of jewels, privately referred to as the Queen Jeweler. And the Delhi Durbar tiara became her most perfect instrument. Amidst the fogs of London's light, at state banquets and diplomatic receptions in Buckingham Palace, the tiara became an integral part of Queen Mary's image. She wore it with the same natural ease and dignity with which a general wears his highest decorations. This icy bastion of diamonds was not meant for flirtation or romantic evenings. It was a statement. In a world where empires crumbled and alliances shifted, Queen Mary, through her jewels, spoke the language of absolute power and unwavering stability. It was in her hands that the diadem truly revealed its transformative potential. Queen Mary didn't view her treasures as static museum pieces. To her, they were a living, evolving asset. In 1922, with a pragmatism that would have astonished many, she commissioned the artisans at Garrard to remove 10 Cambridge emeralds from the diadem. She needed them for another, equally significant undertaking: to restore the luster of the famous Vladimir tiara, rescued from revolutionary Russia. The Delhi Durbar tiara was temporarily left orphaned, but this was merely preparation for its next, even more dazzling metamorphosis. In place of the emeralds came true titans of the gem world. Queen Mary began to utilize the diadem as a magnificent setting for the Cullinan III and Cullinan IV diamonds. When these two colossal stones, affectionately known as the Granny's chips, were mounted into the design, a miracle occurred. The diadem transformed from merely grand to truly mythical. At its heart, the fire of the Cullinan III, a colossal 94-carat pear-shaped drop, blazed, while beneath it, the crisp geometric sparkle of the 63-carat Cullinan IV radiated. No other woman on earth could possibly appear in such splendor. Thus, the diadem became Queen Mary's signature piece. Its severe, architectural, almost austere design perfectly harmonized with the Queen's own public persona. Straightforward, demanding, and one for whom the duty and dignity of the monarchy superseded all else. She didn't follow fashion, she dictated it, and this magnificent crown was her ultimate statement. For Mary of Teck, the Delhi Durbar tiara was far more than just a favorite ornament. It was her legacy, her personal contribution to the dynasty's treasury, the tangible embodiment of her vision for the British monarchy, majestic, powerful, and unapproachable. And while the diadem subsequently passed to other queens, none ever wore it with such a profound sense of absolute right and belonging. The golden age of this jewel was forever entwined with the era when a woman sat on the throne for whom it was created and to whom it served with unwavering loyalty. Beneath the dazzling facade of splendor, shadows invariably lurk, and the history of the Delhi Durbar tiara is no exception. While the piece itself was never implicated in any major criminal scandals, its fate is shrouded not so much in mysteries as in eloquent silence and unspoken protocol battles. The greatest enigma is tied not to who wore it, but to who refused to. When, in 1946, Queen Mary bestowed the diadem upon her daughter-in-law, Queen Elizabeth, the future Queen Mother, it was a gesture of approval and continuity. Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, with her charm and knack for connecting with the public, was the complete antithesis of the formidable Mary of Teck. And she accepted this gift. In 1947, during the celebrated royal tour of South Africa, Queen Elizabeth appeared wearing the Delhi Durbar tiara. This was a crucial political statement, a demonstration of the empire's unity and power in the post-war world. However, according to eyewitness accounts, the Queen did not feel entirely comfortable in it. Its sheer size and weight, it seemed, overwhelmed the Queen's softer and more feminine image. Following that appearance, the diadem largely vanished from public view. The Queen Mother, possessing an extensive and exquisite jewelry collection, clearly favored lighter, more graceful tiaras, such as the Oriental circlet or the Greville tiara. The Delhi Durbar tiara, forged for an Edwardian era of imperial grandeur, seemed somewhat alien and cumbersome in the shifting landscape of the latter half of the 20th century. It transformed into a relic, stored away in a vault, a symbol of a bygone age. But the true intrigue began in 1952 after the passing of King George VI, when the Queen Mother was widowed and her daughter, Elizabeth II, ascended to the throne. The Delhi Durbar tiara automatically transitioned into the new monarch's private collection. And here is where it gets most interesting. Throughout her 70-year reign, Queen Elizabeth II, a woman who wore the heaviest crowns and the world's most famous tiaras, never once donned this monumental creation by Garrard. Why? This question ignited a flurry of rumors and theories. The most prosaic version suggests that the diadem was simply too heavy and uncomfortable. Others contend that the Queen disliked it aesthetically, believing its monumental design didn't align with Elizabeth II's personal style. But there's a deeper political interpretation. The Delhi Durbar tiara was not merely an ornament. It was a symbol of British India, a symbol of imperial rule. from which Elizabeth II so delicately and consistently distanced herself throughout her reign, transforming the empire into the Commonwealth of Nations. Perhaps wearing it would have meant stirring the ghosts of a colonial past and politically unwise move. Thus, the largest diadem in the royal collection also became the most inconvenient in a symbolic sense. Its renown turned against it. It was too intimately tied to a specific historical event and an ideology that had lost its relevance. This diadem stands as a silent witness to how the very essence of the British monarchy evolved. It was crafted for an empress, yet Elizabeth II was Queen of the Commonwealth. And this unspoken refusal to wear the diadem speaks louder than any declaration. The death of the Queen Mother in 2002 at the age of 101 marked not just the passing of a royal family member, but the symbolic end of an entire epoch. With her, the last living link to the times of imperial grandeur, to the world for which the Delhi Durbar tiara was created, faded into the past. Following her demise, according to her will, all her personal jewelry, including the legendary crown, became the property of her daughter, Queen Elizabeth II. The diadem, which had slumbered for decades in the quiet vaults of Clarence House, the Queen Mother's residence, once again changed hands. It returned to the monarchy's main treasury at Buckingham Palace, but its fate remained uncertain. It was evident that the reigning queen herself, as before, had no intention of wearing it. The jewel, it seemed, was condemned to eternal oblivion, transforming from a symbol of power into a silent museum exhibit, accessible only to the gaze of curators and historians. During this period, the diadem lived its life in the shadows. Jewelry experts recalled it, and it was written about in books on the history of royal jewels, but to the general public, it seemed to simply cease to exist. Its time, it appeared, had irrevocably passed. The era of monumental, almost architectural tiaras, symbolizing imperial grandeur, gave way to an era of more understated and modern elegance. The Delhi Durbar tiara looked magnificent, but like a hopelessly outdated dinosaur in a world where the monarchy strived to appear more approachable and accessible. However, in 2005, an event occurred that stirred British society and altered the fate of many, including the ancient diadem. Prince Charles, the heir to the throne, married his longtime beloved, Camilla Parker Bowles. This marriage, concluded after decades of scandals and tragedies, was far from universally accepted. Camilla, who received the title of Duchess of Cornwall, found herself in an extremely challenging position. She had to earn the nation's respect, a nation that still cherished the memory of Princess Diana. It was at this tense moment, when every step and gesture of the new Duchess was scrutinized, that Queen Elizabeth II made a decision that many regarded as an act of the highest political wisdom and personal support. She presented the Delhi Durbar tiara to Camilla as a long-term loan. This was not just a generous gift from a mother-in-law, it was a meticulously calculated move. The transfer of the largest and one of the most historically significant jewels in the collection meant one thing. The Queen fully embraced her son's new wife and saw in her a future Queen consort. The diadem's era of oblivion was over. It was poised to re-enter the stage, but in an entirely new, unexpected role. October 2005. Buckingham Palace glittered with lights in honor of the state visit of the Norwegian royal family. For any member of the British royal family, such a banquet is a significant event. But for Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, it was her first public appearance of such magnitude since her wedding to Prince Charles. The attention of the press and public was fixed on her. Every element of her appearance would be scrutinized and interpreted, and Camilla, or rather those who prepared her, made a choice that exceeded the wildest expectations. When the ballroom doors swung open and the Duchess appeared before the guests, a momentary silence fell over the hall, replaced by a murmur of whispers. Upon her head rested not a modest debutante tiara, nor one of the family's secondary jewels. It was the colossal, unmistakably recognizable Delhi Durbar tiara. The effect was comparable to a bombshell exploding. For the first time in over half a century, the crown's grandest diadem had returned to the world stage. This appearance was not merely a display of personal taste, but a meticulously orchestrated political act, a silent but unequivocally clear directive from the Queen herself. By lending Camilla not just any tiara, but precisely this one, the largest and most historically charged crown, Elizabeth II sent a powerful signal to society. It was a royal mandate, a public anointing. The message was clear. The Duchess of Cornwall is a full and high-ranking member of the family. She is worthy of wearing the treasures worn by queens before her. A striking transformation of symbolism had occurred. While in 1911, on Queen Mary in Delhi, the diadem was a symbol of subjugation and imperial dominion, in 2005, on Camilla in London, it became an instrument of reconciliation and legitimization. Its brilliance was directed not outwards at external subjects, but inwards at British society itself. The jewel, born to assert power over India, was used to affirm the status of a future queen consort in the eyes of the British people. This single public appearance elevated the diadem's value to a new, unattainable height. To its historical worth, the value of the diamonds, Garrard's craftsmanship, the provenance from Queen Mary, a new, invaluable chapter was added. It became a key artifact in resolving one of the most complex personal dramas in the modern history of the British monarchy. The diadem's triumphant return to the stage marked its second birth, cementing its status not merely as a relic, but as an active participant in history. Since then, Camilla has not worn this monumental jewel again. Perhaps it had fulfilled its mission that evening. A single occasion proved sufficient to say all that needed to be said. The diadem once again retreated into the shadows, but no longer as a forgotten ghost of the past, but as a victor whose work was flawlessly executed. So, where is this legendary treasure now? After its sole yet resounding public appearance in 2005, the Delhi Durbar tiara returned once more to the vaults of Buckingham Palace. It remains part of the personal jewelry collection, which, upon the death of Queen Elizabeth II, passed by inheritance to her son, King Charles III. Formally, its current custodian and steward is Queen Consort Camilla, the very woman who brought it back from oblivion. However, its current status fundamentally differs from what it was a century ago. The Delhi Durbar tiara has definitively transitioned from the category of personal ornaments, even royal ones, into the rank of an invaluable historical artifact. It is no longer just an accessory for state banquets. It is a tangible witness to changing eras, political intrigues, and the personal dramas of the British monarchy. Every one of its diamonds, every curve of its platinum, now bears the weight not only of carats, but of decades of history. To wear this tiara today is more than simply adorn oneself. It's to step into a direct dialogue with the shadows of Queen Mary, the Queen Mother, and Queen Elizabeth II herself. This demands not just the appropriate occasion, but also immense courage, for any public appearance featuring it would instantly be weighed against its past outings, scrutinized by historians, and ignite fervent discussions in the press. Perhaps this is precisely why it hasn't been seen in public since. Its symbolic weight grew too immense for regular use. As for its monetary value, assigning an exact appraisal is virtually impossible, as such artifacts are never offered on the open market. Its worth is comprised of several distinct components. First, there's the material value, platinum and a vast multitude of diamonds of the highest caliber. Second, there's the brand and craftsmanship value. A creation from the House of Garrard, commissioned by royalty, it stands as a masterpiece in its own right. But all of this pales in comparison to the third and most crucial component, its provenance, meaning its history of ownership. The tiara, originally conceived for an imperial durbar, owned by 3 queens and playing a pivotal role in solidifying the status of a fourth, possesses such immense historical and cultural significance that its financial equivalent is simply beyond all calculation. It is a national treasure even while technically remaining private property. It truly belongs to global culture as one of the most stunning examples of jewelry artistry and one of the most intricate symbols in the history of 20th and 21st century monarchies. So, let's circle back to the question that launched this inquiry. Why did Queen Elizabeth II, a monarch whose reign spanned 7 decades of monumental change, never once don the grandest jewel in her vast collection? The answer, much like the tiara itself, is complex and multifaceted. It's not merely about its considerable weight or, as some might argue, its somewhat outdated design. It's about its very soul, its symbolic code. The Delhi Durbar tiara was born as an apotheosis of empire, whereas Elizabeth II became its most astute and delicate dismantler, subtly transforming it into the Commonwealth of Nations. To wear this particular crown would have been to swim against the current of her own history, to try on a role she had consciously chosen to relinquish. This, then, is the central conclusion of our investigation. The Delhi Durbar tiara is far more than a mere jewel. It is the tangible embodiment of human passions, imperial ambitions, and shrewd political calculation. It began its journey as a resounding instrument of power in the hands of Queen Mary, asserting supremacy on the global stage. Later, it became a silent phantom within Elizabeth II's vaults, a mute reproach to a bygone era. And finally, it experienced a second birth as an instrument of reconciliation, a tacit gesture of royal blessing for Camilla. The saga of this jewel teaches us that the true value of royal treasures lies not in their carat weight, but in their very biography. They are silent chroniclers, reflecting in their facets not only light, but also the very characters of their owners. Within the Delhi Durbar tiara, we discern the unwavering will of Mary of Teck, the sagacious pragmatism of Elizabeth II, and the intricate destiny of Queen Camilla. It is a mirror through which the monarchy has viewed itself at various junctures along its path. It is more than just gold, platinum, and diamonds. It is history, exquisitely distilled. It holds the memories of the grand Delhi Durbar, the glittering splendor of European courts, the hushed reverence of royal strongrooms, and a pivotal turning point in the modern history of the British crown. This jewel has witnessed more than any of us could ever conceive and held more secrets than any ancient tome. Perhaps we may never again see it in public, but that no longer matters. It has already played its most significant role. And as long as the Delhi Durbar tiara endures, it will stand as an eternal monument not only to the art of jewelry, but to history itself, which at times chooses the most unexpected objects to narrate its profound tales. This is the very immortality of true masterpieces, their unparalleled ability to speak across the centuries, revealing that genuine treasures are measured not by carats, but by the sheer weight of human destinies, forever etched into their cool, brilliant facets.